In this important episode of Caregiving Unboxed, the focus shifts to the unique challenges and dynamics of partner relationships when raising a child with special needs or caregiving for a loved one. This episode delves into how the shared responsibility of caregiving can put a strain on relationships, often leading to stress, miscommunication, and emotional distance. We discuss feelings of overwhelm, the difficulty in maintaining intimacy, and the challenge of balancing caregiving duties with personal needs. Michael and I will also emphasize the importance of open communication and mutual support, encouraging couples to express their feelings and concerns without fear or judgment. Throughout the episode, we will provide practical tips to help couples navigate the delicate balance between caregiving and maintaining healthy relationships. This episode of Caregiving Unboxed serves as a reminder that by working together and intentionally nurturing relationships, couples can thrive amidst the challenges of caregiving. Hi. I'm Sherry Bailey, and I am joined by Michael Nash. And today we are unboxing this often difficult to talk about topic about how to maintain healthy relationships in the midst of caregiving. Happy New Year, everyone. This is our first episode in 2025. We've taped 6 episodes so far, so it's been such an exciting journey. In fact, we're doing something different this year, and we're soliciting questions from viewers. And one question actually came to our email recently, and it was from Jennifer from Rhode Island. And Jennifer asks, how can I maintain a healthy relationship with my partner? It often feels that our life doesn't allow for much quiet time, and I am afraid that our caregiving duties is affecting our relationship. Wow. We all know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, Mike, let's unbox this topic today. What I want to start with is we are not immune to this, right?
Mhm.
We are in a relationship ourselves. And yes, we are raising a child that has special needs together.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to Layla, right, I've been in relationships without raising a child with special
Mhm.
needs. So have you.
Mm-hmm.
And dynamics are different, right? So now being in a relationship where we're both tugged and pulled in different directions and we're trying to balance life as well as caregiving and making sure that Layla and our entire family
Mm-hmm.
gets the best of us. How do we do that without burning ourselves out and without affecting our relationships? And to Jennifer's question, how can people in relationships keep that spark going despite some of the challenges that come with caregiving?
I mean, that's a big question. That's a loaded question. Um, and I think the easiest, simplest answer is invest. Right. Uh, this is not your typical situation. Like you said, you've been in relationships prior to Layla and prior to me. I've been in a relationship prior to Layla, prior to you. And the challenge is you have to wear a lot of hats. You have to be okay with that. You cannot put this in a box if you want it to be successful or to be healthy for this situation. There are times when, you may have to give 90% to Layla and Lana and the other kids that we have, and I get 10%. But I, as the adult, I have to understand that that's just a season, a period. And it's going to constantly change, and you have to be open to that.
Yeah.
And I think if you take that open approach that, okay, Sherry got to come home and cook, or Mike got to go do this. And, the roles are going to constantly change. And I think
And
once
evolve.
you
Yeah.
accept that the roles are going to constantly change as as Layla gets older, as different challenges we face that we've never faced before, you have to have that open mind that the roles are going to change. And this is not going to be a traditional journey in a relationship.
And I like that, right? Because it's first understanding that this is non-traditional.
Yeah.
And with that comes a new norm,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that the first tip is really appreciating the new norm
Yeah.
and understanding that your normal is going to be different than someone else's normal. So an idea of a great family night for us could be, staying in the house, and Layla is watching her Mickey. Her battery on her laptop is charged. She's good to go for
Yeah,
2 hours. And then the rest of us are playing a game of
yeah,
Monopoly. And in the midst of that, maybe Layla is vomiting and we're cleaning her up, and then we're getting back to the game. And that's a normal day for us.
yeah,
But to some,
yeah.
it's different,
Yeah.
right? So I think appreciating the new norm
Mhm,
is
mhm,
is the first mindset
mhm.
that needs to happen.
And like you said, it's constantly evolving, right? You're going to face some challenges today that you may not have faced yesterday, but again, you got to keep that open mind and just keep your eyes on the prize, which is, to try to be there for everyone as much as you can without taking from this one.
Exactly.
Layla, we love Layla to death, but the reality of it is she requires a lot, you
Mhm.
know. But that doesn't minimize her because where Layla requires the physical aspect of us, Lana, on the other hand, her twin sister, requires the emotional part. Like
Yes.
physically, Lana can do pretty much everything for herself, but it's the emotional part. So it's almost like give and take. And if you look at it from a pie situation, right? The objective of baking a good pie is to have each part complement the other.
Hmm.
So you may be the crust one day, I'm the filling, Lana's the pan, The next day you may be the pan, I may be the flour, or whatever the case may be. So you have to accept and learn to adapt and kind of live on a swivel and be okay with that and not look at it as like, oh, there's no consistency. Consistent may not be the key in a situation
Yeah.
like this. And I think we do a pretty good job, not bragging or anything, but I think we both have come to the conclusion that this is not traditional,
Yes.
so there may be days when I may not tell you, oh, you look beautiful today, because like you said, I may be cleaning Layla up, or Lana's having an emotional day where in school nobody was nice to me, so these are all the things that that most families go through. Now add that extra layer on top of it, and then the layer as me being a partner in a healthy relationship, that I still have to give you what you need,
Yes.
and vice versa. So I think you just have to be very open-minded and understand that this may not work in a traditional setting of what society calls normal.
I
Sorry.
love what you said, live on a swivel. And that's
Hmm.
a great just vision, imagery in
Hmm.
my mind, because I think that's exactly what we do every
Hmm.
day. And sometimes we get so engulfed by what we see on social media or
Yeah.
what we see in magazines that
Hmm.
we start to self reflect and say, man, is something awkward about the way that we live? Because our family pictures don't look like this,
Yeah.
right? You may have
Hmm.
Layla not looking at the camera or looking away or
Yeah.
biting her shirt.
Hmm.
And but then you see some of these family pictures of, these gorgeous
Hmm.
families that are
Everything's
picture
perfect.
perfect,
Yeah.
and you start to question and
Hmm.
self-reflect, but it's understanding that new norm and then
Hmm.
living life on a swivel. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
You also touched on this, shared responsibilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
So commonly, you may have one partner that does the cooking and
Hmm.
the cleaning, and then you
Yeah.
have the other partner that takes care of the household
Hmm.
financially and does
Hmm.
the working, and so
Hmm.
so on and so forth. But in a relationship where you're also caregiving,
Hmm.
shared responsibilities are crucial,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
there may be one day that I cook
Hmm.
and there be other days that you cook. There may be a day that I clean and there
Hmm.
may be days that you clean,
Yeah.
but that doesn't discount me
Yeah.
as a contributor or a
Hmm.
person in a relationship, and
Hmm.
vice versa.
Yeah.
That doesn't discount you.
Yeah, yeah, that's so important. Um, I think in the climate that we live in today, right, society, it's completely different than where my mom grew up. My dad, he went out, he made the money, he brought it home, he gave it to my mom. She took care of the bills, she took care of the kids, she made sure all those things were in a traditional setting, right?
Mhm.
Fast forward 40 plus years, right? There are times, like you said, where I may cook. It's times you may cook. It's times we order pizza.
Yeah.
And again, living on that swivel, you have to do what works for you. And again, you have to come out of that mindset that, okay, society says I have to do 1, 2, 3, and you're responsible for 4, 5, and 6. And if you don't do it that way, you're not successful. I think the easiest thing to fall into is measuring your level of success based on someone else's situation,
Yeah.
because you don't have all the information. Just like, again, back to the social media thing. I love social media, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're not careful, it can take your mind to some places that you don't want to go, because you're looking at these crafted images of what perfection looks like.
And it distorts
And
the
it
concept of
distorts,
reality.
yes, and
Yeah.
it distorts where you are, where your level of success is.
Yeah.
So again, back to that thing. You have to live on a swivel. Like today, for instance, usually on the podcast, I'm dressed, but it's cold. I was shoveling snow, so I still have my hat on. I have on a sweater. I don't have on a shirt. I don't have a suit. But it doesn't take from what I contribute to what we're doing today. Again, that living on a swivel. You have to live on a swivel and be able to adjust, readjust to make it work for your family.
Absolutely. And on that note,
hmm
self-care and quality time.
There you go.
Let's talk about how important
Yep,
that
there you
is.
go.
And the big question is always, when do I have time?
Mhm.
Right? When do you have time for self-care? When do you have time for quality time?
Mhm.
But what I always come back with is, we always find time for a shower, right? We
Yes.
always find time to brush our teeth. We
Mhm.
always find time for these things that are routine, hygienic
Yeah.
habits.
Mhm.
Why can't we find time for ourselves,
Yes.
right? Even if it means after the children go to sleep, forget it.
Yeah.
Go to sleep 30 minutes later than you normally do,
Mhm.
but read that book,
Yeah.
meditate, listen to
Mhm.
some music, do something
Mhm.
that promotes self-care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And quality time doesn't always mean together. It
Yeah.
could also be independently.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm a big believer in, you will make time for what's important to you,
Yeah.
right? For instance, I could say, I don't have time, but I'm going to find time to write a new recipe, to research some ingredients, because that's important to me because of my love for everything food, right? When it becomes important to you, you'll find time for it. That's life, that's human nature. Quality time for yourself, self-care for yourself is important uh for the whole picture.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, because if you don't preserve yourself and I don't preserve myself, everybody that we have this realm of protection over, our children and people that are connected up, they're the ones who pay for it.
Yeah.
So you just have to find time. And it doesn't have to be, okay, I need 7 hours to go and meditate. No, you have to be realistic based on your situation and say, okay, I get up in the morning, I get the kids to school, I dress myself, I go to work, I come home, I cook dinner. In the course of that day, take 30 minutes. Sometimes you have to do it while you're at work when you don't have the responsibility of our Layla or of Lana or of me. When you're out and about, you at that grocery store, or, I got to run into a store and grab a few things for the house. Sit in the car for 20 minutes, turn the music on or turn the music off, and just get into your thoughts.
Absolutely.
You will find time if it becomes important to you. And you have to make it important. You have to put that on the list of priority, because if you can't preserve yourself, how are you going to preserve everything that you're supposed to protect?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very important concept. I remember working, and during my lunch break, right? The one thing I always wanted to do was, okay, let me hurry up and go to the grocery store and
Mm-hmm.
purchase all the stuff that I'm going to make for dinner later. That way I get ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, those habits actually put you behind the game,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not actually resting. When you think about a work day,
Mm-hmm.
you're working, 8 to 12, you take 12 to 1 to run to the grocery store, hurry up and check out, put everything in the fridge at work work or wherever you're putting it. And then you get back to work from 1 to 5, and then here you are going home, back into caregiving duties and cooking and all of that. Before you know it, it's 8, 9 o'clock, and then you're asleep.
Yep.
Where do you find time for yourself? And
Yeah.
sometimes I had to take kind of that mental check and say, you know what? It's okay if I don't go to the grocery
Yeah.
store.
Hmm.
It's okay if I do Instacart
Yeah.
and have them
Yes.
deliver it.
Hmm.
You know, that $10 fee or what have you is worth it, you know, when
Yeah.
you need a little bit of
Yeah.
break. So think
Yeah.
about those things that you could do to help you find time for
Yeah.
self-care and quality
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I always say you're not going to lose the mother or the father or the parent of the year award if you have to adjust.
So true.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You're not going to lose that award in that one instance when you say, you know what, today I'm not going to the grocery store. I cooked 2 days ago. We're doing leftovers. We're doing potluck. We're doing whatever is in the fridge because I need an hour to just.
Woosah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to lose that award.
Right.
So I think a lot of times we put that pressure on ourselves when it's not coming from anywhere but from within. And that's a very important part of this. You know, you have to acknowledge and accept that our life is different. The moment you acknowledge that and accept it, not just acknowledge it means that you recognize it exists. Acceptance means this what
It
it
is
is
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the big part of it. And when you get to and you understand that you're going to have to make changes, you know, you may not be able to go to that birthday party that everyone's going to because Layla doesn't feel like going outside today. You know, we just don't have the bandwidth to carry the stroller and take this, and it's in between feeding times, and there's no water where we're going, or all these things that play very important parts in our life. You have to accept that
Yeah.
and be okay with it because it's
Absolutely.
okay. It's
Absolutely.
it's okay. Yeah.
And, you know, going back to Jennifer's question
Hmm.
about how it could put a strain on relationships,
Hmm.
when we talk about self-care and quality time,
Hmm.
we're also talking about not just independently,
Yeah.
but together.
Yeah.
Make it a
Yeah.
point
Hmm.
to schedule one day a month,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Find yourself a good trusted sitter or someone in the
Hmm.
family
Hmm.
that can sit with the children.
Hmm.
And if you don't have that, I'll say luxury,
Yeah.
because I know we
Yeah. Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
find time during the day,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you're going to take off of work today. You're going to use a PTO day,
Hmm.
as am I.
Hmm.
While the kids are at school,
Hmm.
we are going to have lunch together. We
Yeah.
are going to the museum together.
Hmm.
You always find time
Hmm.
for good old quality time
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
Creativity is the key word.
Yeah.
You have to be creative. For instance, if it's a day, just say we're all home, summertime. Layla's home, Lana's home. Creativity. Say, okay, divide the living room in half. This is your side, this is our side. For 30 minutes, we need peace. Y'all sit over there. Lana, you play with your iPad. Layla, you play with your tablet and watch Mickey. Me and mommy, we're going to have quiet time. And we take that 30 minutes and we just engage in each other,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You have to be creative. Creativity is the key. And this is for the guys out there. You can't always leave it on your partner. Sometimes you have to step out of your box and do what you have to do because as men a lot of times and I'm just speaking for me, I'm not going to speak for all men because I don't want y'all coming for me. For me, sometimes I get comfortable, and because Sherry does a lot, and I'll get comfortable and say, "Oh, Sherry has it." But sometimes I have to step back and take a look and say, "Okay, yeah, she may have it, but I can also do this." And that's all a part of keeping it alive. That's all a part of letting her know that she's valued, not just from the kids, not just from being a great mother and the partner and things like that, but just for her. And as her partner, I have to do that.
Hmm.
And me, I have to be conscious of it. Like I have to, whether it's a mental note, whether it's a sticky, whatever it takes, creativity, you have to do it. You have to do it. If you
For
want to
sure.
survive, you have to do it.
For sure. And you briefly touched on the last tip, which is make it a point to check in with each other.
Hmm.
Don't assume just because someone your partner has a smile on their face or they appear to be having a good day, that they're okay.
Yeah.
Make it a point to ask the question,
Hmm.
Mike, are you doing okay?
Yeah.
How are you doing? Is there something that you need help with
Yeah.
or that I could do different to help? And vice versa. Hey,
Yeah.
Sherry, are you doing okay? I've noticed, you were a little quiet
Yeah.
recently. Is everything going on? Is everything okay? Is something going on?
Hmm.
And that goes miles
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
do those emotional check-ins
Check-ins.
with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah. It does. And again, you have to make a conscious effort to do that.
Yeah.
Again, in our life, there are a few things that we have to be conscious about, and I'm not from your subconscious, just from like mentally making it a point to identify, and address certain things. Sherry's a talker, so I had to train myself that if she's quiet, something's off, and it may not be something huge. It may be something as small as she couldn't find her favorite shoes, right? But our life is so busy, something that small could throw her whole day off because, again, it's all tied to something else. Same thing with me. It could be I couldn't find my favorite hat. I'm still looking for my hat. I've been looking for, I got to take this. I've been looking for a hat that I know for a fact that I had on my head about 3 weeks ago, and I can't find it, and it's driving me crazy. My older kids like, man, I will buy you a new hat. It's not the point. It's my hat, and it threw me off. So I said all that to say that you have to be conscious of the little things,
Yeah.
and checking in. You good today? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. And don't be afraid of the answer.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, if I ask Sherry if she good, oh, she gonna hit me with a ton of
Yes.
praise. No, I'm not good. You got to be okay with that,
You have to
and
be okay with
that,
the
and like you
response.
said, that little check in, are you good, makes that person feel valued. And it gives them a whole nother week to push on this journey that none of us know what's coming tomorrow. So
Very true. Very true.
yeah.
So to recap, appreciate the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Be okay with sharing responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Make a point for self-care and quality time.
Yep.
And do those emotional check-ins
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, thank you for the question. We encourage more questions. You can email them to info@laylasgift.org.
Mm-hmm.
Signing out, remember, a new episode of Caregiving Unboxed airs every third Monday of the month. We will talk again soon.